So welcome into the next edition of our Garnet Trust interview series on Gamecock Central, obviously brought to you by Garnet Trust. Today, our first foray into basketball with, I guess, graduate student, senior James Reese, a Columbia kid. James, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
And I cannot complain. Another day where we get to talk about basketball, which is a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess kind of for starters, just wanted to talk about your story a little bit. Obviously, a long winding road from Columbia to get to South Carolina. Just kind of take me through what it was like in high school. Obviously, you weren't heavily recruited by South Carolina coming out of AC Flora. What was that process like in recruiting, and how wild was your journey before getting to South Carolina?
Man, that my high school, recruiting, it was, it really wasn't, good at all. I'm thankful for the schools, that actually hit me up, like Buffalo, that took a chance on me. I ended up getting, a great opportunity out of that. But it was very slow coming out of high school. And then I just had to grind, and just not feel sorry for myself. So that's when I just took the scholarship offer to Buffalo, because that was, honestly, really like the only one that I had at that time. That was, for me back in that, I say good enough, but I don't want to say that because, free college is great everywhere. But as far as like basketball, being on the stage, Buffalo was my best choice. And I mean, that's all the way across the world. That's 12 and a half hours away from Columbia, my actual house. It was freezing, so it was a culture. It was like a big weather change. I went from, nice summers to brutal winters, like quick. So, that was just, that was kind of tough, but, that was like my only options at the moment.
How, from as a Columbia kid, how brutal was that first winter for you, dealing with the snow and all that stuff?
Man, it was honestly crazy because I never really had to get like a bubble coat. I always can just wear a little small, simple little hoodie like this.
Yeah.
In Buffalo, you can't really do that. You need, well, I was told on my recruiting visit by I was eating at a Brazilian steakhouse, and this guy asked me where I was from, and he was just kind of like, when you come up here, make sure you buy a jacket that's actually, in Buffalo. So buy your jacket out here. And I was just like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, you can't go to the mall or something like that and find one of those coats down here. I guess you obviously go JUCO and then end up at North Texas. What did you learn about yourself playing specifically at North Texas, a winning program? You obviously play in the NCAA tournament. What did you learn about yourself and kind of a winning culture that Frank's talked about with you before while playing there and getting those experiences?
For me, well, honestly, I just kind of been in like every like position on a winning team. I've been the guy that actually was cheering on the bench, and I've been the guy, like at North Texas, playing the minutes, doing the things that actually help the team win. So, so that's just kind of like, I just seen it from all different aspects, and I just understand, what you have to do in order to be, a winning teammate, because like it's a lot of things that go into winning. Like you need, good teammates, you need all of that. So I just understand, a certain level of focus that you have to have. You got to trust your coach, what I'm saying? And I just know all like the little things. And so that's why I think, I'm just such a like good leader, with stuff like that. And I just bring that winning culture because I'm just willing to do everything and make sacrifices at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think you talked a couple times about going in the portal, and you were about ready to go back to North Texas this offseason.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Before Frank called. You obviously knew Frank through recruiting growing up in Columbia. What was that phone call like, and how easy was that recruitment for him in South Carolina?
He honestly told me, he was like, man, you making this easy for me because I'm from here, childhood dream, always to play for home. Like I said, I was, about to commit back to North Texas, and Frank called me. He was just kind of like, I was gonna call you next week, but something in my stomach told me to call you today. And I told him, well, coach, thank God you called me today, because in about 15 more minutes, I was calling my coaches at North Texas and telling them I'm coming back, because it was just so many schools calling me in the portal that I didn't really want to go to. Well, just hearing the same thing from every coach is just frustrating. So I kind of didn't want to go through that again, because I already had my own foundation at North Texas. And the only school that I was gonna, listen to it from was here. And then when he finally called, like, he just kind of like asked me, and I was like, Coach, I'm coming. And he kind of had to tell me, like, whoa, think about it for 2 days. And I said, Coach, all right, I think about it. Then I text him the next day, I'm like, I'm coming, like, so
Yeah.
I was all in from day one.
What's that say about you as a leader and this transfer class as a whole? Because it seems like a lot of these transfer guys, the decision wasn't hard. What's that say about this group wanting to be at South Carolina and really wanting to try to get this program back to where it was a couple years ago after what last season was for?
That just shows that Coach Martin got some transfers who's willing to fight for him, even though things was down for him the past couple of years. But that honestly don't mean nothing, because everybody have bad. Now I'm not even gonna say bad years. Everybody just go through things. And it's just about how you respond. So when I thought about coming here, I didn't think about the bad years. I thought about the Final Four year, and I just thought about USC. Period. Like, I know USC as like a great school. Like, so the past couple of years didn't define it for me. And then, like I said, it's home. So I want to put my hometown back, where it's supposed to be at. And I had a chance to be a part of it, so I'm gonna just take advantage of it.
Absolutely. What does it mean to you to be an in-state kid from not only in-state but from Columbia, playing here with the chance to really put this team in an NCAA tournament for the first time since that Final Four? How much would that mean to you?
Man, I sit back and think about that a lot and talk about it, with my mom, family, randomly on the phone sometimes, and I still get chills, even when they call my name for the starting lineup. Like, so me, us going back to the tournament, and me being a part of that, that'd be like the icing on the cake for me. Like, yeah, I'd be happy with how my story ended, for college. And this would be definitely like it'll be one of the biggest, milestones of like my, basketball career. And it's something that I probably like hold on to, like, and probably would never stop talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. You've obviously been on winning teams. North Texas, you guys beat Purdue, I think, in the NCAA tournament, if my memory serves. Yeah. Number one, how cool was that moment for you? And now that you're transitioned to South Carolina, how much of those characteristics of winning teams and have you seen with this group of transfers, incoming guys, and the returners?
First, that win versus Purdue, that was a big time win for us. Like, with all the players that they had on the team, and just like, just being the underdogs. I was just so used to being the underdog. So that game, we were hunting and they was the hunted. So, it was no pressure with us. Like, we went in there like, man, we got to beat these dudes. So, that was just, we just went out there and played hard and just gave it our all and came out on top. But what was the other question you asked me?
Yeah, no, just about how you've been on winning teams. Okay. How much of those characteristics do you see with this group, this team that you're on now, in terms of leadership, in terms of guys wanting to be selfless and just find ways to grind out wins?
We still, this team, we have like some guys who aren't scared to like speak their mind, and that's good that's good, to a certain extent. But then again, is like, some guys, gotta take it a little, differently. But I feel like we got some great leaders on the team. And we still got a lot to work on. We got a lot of guys that, haven't really, been on, winning teams, that been somewhere. So, we still gotta like show those guys, but as a whole, like everybody wants to win. Everybody that made sacrifices so far, and I mean, we showed great flashes this year. That we can be really good. So, once just everybody realize and actually like notice how good we can actually be, I just feel like we'll just take off from there.
Absolutely. What was that transition like for you? Obviously, Frank, his defense is a lot different than a lot of defenses that get played at the college level. What was the biggest transition there? What are some of the principles that you really have to fall back on when you're trying to learn what Frank's teaching, especially from the defensive side of things?
It was honestly, Frank defense is probably one of the toughest defenses I ever had to learn because I mean, I'm just so used to like, sitting in the gaps instead of like being in line between my man and the ball. So that was just like really the big difference. And then another thing is like on our rotations, instead of instead of the closest man on the baseline rotating over to take the baseline help, it's the guard. So we just keep our bigs at the rim. So, it's just like you gotta play hard every possession with Frank defense. That's one thing, I learned for sure. Like, because if you're playing gap defense, you're able to take a little break, But with Frank defense, there's no breaks. You gotta be ready. And then, I mean, if you do it your way, it's not gonna work. So if you do it the way Frank, explains, and it sounds crazy sometimes, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy. But when you do it the way Frank said do it, it works. And I mean, and I feel like it's a great defense. I like it. I mean, I'm a defensive guy just because I'm like very energetic, but I love it, man. It's a hard defense to score against because I mean we have a tough time scoring in practice. But I like it. It was kind of tough for me to pick up at first, but once you get the hang of it and once you just play hard, you'll end up in the right spot for Frank defense.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are 8-3 to this point. You obviously didn't play in one of those games, but just what have you learned about you specifically and about this team over the first 11 games, and what's maybe the next step for this team as it finishes out non-con and it gets into league play?
One thing I learned about my team is that, we done been all the games that we lost. Matter of fact, all the games that we lost, including the Coastal, Clemson, and Princeton, we were down and we showed fight. So that's one thing, that I learned from my teams, from this team that, we got a lot of fight. Clemson, we got down, I want to say 18 or 20, and we fought all the way back, and cut it down. So, and same thing for Princeton. So I feel like, we got a team full of fighters, but we just gotta, we need to do it for 40 minutes. And one thing I learned about like myself is that I just I need Frank to yell at me sometimes. Like sometimes you can just end up coasting. And sometimes, I just you just need something to be said to you that's normally not said to you, and that kind of helps you. So I just realized, I just need like, Frank, yelling at me and stuff sometimes. I'm gonna just do whatever, it takes to win, even if that's scoring, just guarding the best player, rebounding, whatever. I'm just do whatever to win.
Absolutely. You got any good Frank stories you can share on the record?
I mean, they not like, you feel me? Like they.
I know what you. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
What obviously a lot of guys have taken a step. They've contributed this year. Who were some of the younger guys that you've seen on this roster, whether that's Jacoby or Devin or TQ? What have you seen from them that's really made you kind of say, whoa, we got something special with these three guys?
Yeah. First, I'm gonna start with Kobe. Kobe, man, Kobe was always one of the more, to me, he was the more mature freshman in me because he rarely talked. He was always serious in the locker room. he was always serious in the locker rooms and stuff, and you know, just barely was making any jokes. But as far as like, you know, which freshman took the biggest steps for me, I'd say Devin Carter, because like he never scared in like all big games. You know, he is one of the guys that's trying to be out there, who want the ball, who's aggressive, you know, and who's just, I mean, and he actually knows what he's supposed to be doing out there sometimes. So you know, Devin is one of the ones who sticks out to me the most, because you know, he just be like, he's just so engaged every game, and he just always constantly hitting me up. Like he asked me, like Devin asked me a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And then Devin is the one I guard in practice every day, and he guard me. So, you know, that's my like, you know, that's my sub too. So
Right.
me and Devin is really like, you know, that's my guy. You know, I just try to take him under my wing and just, you know, and just try to instill like every play got to be a hard play, bro. Every play. So you know, Devin stepped up big, and with TQ is one of the smartest freshmen we got. He sometimes TQ even tell our older bigs, you know, what to do, and he, you know, he's just learning.
Right.
So, you know, we got older guys going to TQ, you know, asking questions. So TQ is just, you know, he's the brains of the young guys. He knows everything, knows his spots, and you know, I mean, he a hard worker too. He changed his body since he got down here a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Kind of wrapping up, but just obviously this is sponsored by Garnet Trust. Just as an athlete in his final year of eligibility, I think getting this NL, you know, name, image, and likeness stuff, how important is that for you guys in terms of being able to make some money off your name, image, or likeness, and kind of being able to use that and market yourself a little bit?
Man, it's honestly a blessing, man, because this is something that, you know, a lot of athletes had that they got in trouble in the past for. You know, and it's a lot of athletes out here, you know, with a name that people, you know, actually, you know, that's people actually like, you know, like it's a lot of people in this world that probably like, I'm gonna just say my name for instance, that probably looks up James Reese on the internet, you know, and just to see like what that person is doing. So, you know, I feel like it's a great opportunity, and it just you know, I mean, it's a great start just to just for athletes, you know, to have that platform and, you know, get a little money off their names.
Absolutely. Well, James, I can't thank you enough for joining us today, and best of luck the rest of the season, and looking forward to seeing what you guys do out there on the court as you guys wrap non-conference play and then obviously get an SEC play in the new year.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Kyle.
Absolutely.